Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. What up, Positive Philter listeners? It's Philip Wilkerson. So I know some of y'all have been staying in touch with the podcast and realized that I have not done a new episode, and I said that I was going to come back with a new episode in the new year, which I will do. So this episode is still part of season 6, and season 7 will still launch in the new year on January 6th. But, I just felt called to give an update. Recently, I've been talking about Jeff a lot, and I've been sharing, thoughts about him. And just recently today, my mother-in-law finally listened to the episode that we did, Jeff and I did back in August 2022 about intergenerational living. And so I kind of wanted to do like maybe a mini recap, not recap, but update, and the things I've learned and the things that Jeff imparted on me while we recorded that episode. For those that really found a lot of value, a lot of people that have listened, just to give you a gauge, that is the most downloaded episode of Positive Philter, Intergenerational Living, which I'll put in the show notes. And I think that resonated with a lot of people because, during that time of COVID, people were really re-examining what was important. We saw a lot of families condense or leverage or utilize, their parents for support during COVID, when they couldn't go to work and they needed extra help. And I think that COVID was actually a great inspiration or ignition point for re-examining the importance of family and community. And I think in all, I think that I would have definitely still probably lived with Jeff and Joan regardless of COVID because of his, terminal illness. But I also thought that in that space and time, knowing that we had the support of Jeff and Joan during COVID, even while he was sick, was really helpful. And so I think all the stars were aligned that making a decision to live together was, perfect for that time. And now that I have about 2 years and some change to reflect, I have no regrets on that decision and think about how important community and family is. I think some of the things that we brought up in that episode was who was going to be the man of the house. And from my understanding, I was never the man of the house anyway, right? Jeff was always the patriarch, and, Maggie and Joan are really great. It was like a community, like kind of a tribal council. And now that Jeff's not here, you would think that the mantle of being the man of the house would fall on me. And I think in regards to fatherly duty and stepping up and taking care, being a father, I'm still the man, quote unquote, that man of the house. But it's like I have 2 wives and just 2 supports and 2 adults to make really important decisions with. We just bought a new car, and that was still, even though me and Maggie bought that car, we had Joan in that conversation, just another voice. And, for those out there, thinking about this idea of living with different generations, I'm only going to present the pros. Obviously, there's some cons about losing some autonomy, losing a little bit of independence and things like that. But for me, overwhelmingly, there was a majority of this experience that has been more positive, as in just the guidance and wisdom of having a mother-in-law that I care about live with us. Having that family support, emotional support. My boys are surrounded by love and care, having their mother-in-law around them, and just that opportunity to, guide, get that innate wisdom from their mother-in-law is great. For me, it's just having that emotional support. My wife is very supportive of the things I want to do, but my mother-in-law has been really supportive in this journey as I try to go back to get my PhD. And so having that support of being out the house and having someone to watch the boys while I go to class and just navigate all the different things that we had to do in regards to real life. And I don't think a lot of young parents realize how much it really does take a village. I think we've gotten away from the communal living and collective culture that raising children and living life is not an individual pursuit or even a small family pursuit. It's really a community, right? How much the community impacts you. And so having that community around me, having my mother-in-law live with us, having that support is invaluable. And so I want people to think about that as they navigate uh, these decisions about what to do. I'm a pro now. I'm always going to be pro intergenerational living. I'm always going to be a pro, communal living. I'm going to be, hopefully, whoever lives longer, whether it's my wife and I want to at least be in proximity to my kids. If they don't want me to live near with them, I get that, but I want to live near them, at least one of them, to be involved in their life. That's really important. I've seen how much having a connection to my children is going to make a difference on the decisions I make in my future. So when I retire and I see where they are living in the world, I think about it really consciously of making a decision to be in some proximity to them because I just want, there to be with them and support them and help them financially if I can, or help them with, raising their children if I can, and just be there to help them. But also understand, I don't know how Joan might feel, but I would say I feel like I'm still connected and I'm not alone. I have, you know, a community and family to live with me. And so I think that for those that are on the fence about this, think long and hard about the pros and cons. Think about, letting go of that egocentric thinking of independence and autonomy, and realize you still maintain independence and autonomy as an adult. I'm still a grown man, but also how important community and support is, even as you get older. As I approach 40 years old, I still, obviously I'm a grown man. I need to do this, but I realize that I can't do anything in this life alone. I need people. I need, a supportive community around me. And however we navigate that is how we navigate it. And I think Jeff and I think that from that conversation, I listen to that podcast all the time, that we really thought about that long and hard about the pros and cons of this experience of living intergenerationally. The give and take, the benefits, the financial support, all those things. And I I just really feel like I'm blessed that I had a father-in-law that thought beyond his life in that space and that thought. He thought beyond, in those circumstances that weren't the best, that he thought like what would be best for his wife, what would be best for his kids, what would be best for his grandkids. And that's something admirable. And that's something I'm always going to take with me. I'm not him. I'm not going to be him. I'm a different person than him, obviously, but at the same time, there was things that he inspired me that I will take from him and make it a part of me. And I think one of the things that I thought about that was being more of a strategic thinker and thinking about the long term, and thinking about how important community and family is. That's something that he taught me in his life that will live with me forever. And as I listened to that episode of Intergenerational Living, it reiterates to me that we made a good decision, that the decision to live together was life changing, transformative, all the positive, inspirational. It wasn't easy, definitely not easy, and obviously not easy as his life was, starting to come to an end. But even with all the adversity and challenges and not being easy, I would not change one aspect of that experience. And for those out there listening, I just take this moment to think about that. It was on my heart, it was on my mind. The fact that my mother-in-law just listened to that episode that was 2 years later sparked this dialogue in my head, and I'm just forever grateful. And so, didn't want to take too long. Just wanted to come on here and do a quick episode to talk about intergenerational living and that experience. And, you know, if you're a listener and you're out there and you're having questions about this, I'm happy to have a discussion with you. I think talking about it has been real helpful. If you're someone that is taking care of a loved one, or particularly adult caregiver taking care of someone above you, older than you, I'm happy to support you in that. While I'm not doing it currently, I know how that felt. You're not alone in that experience. You're, it's a hard journey to do. It's very hard, but at the end of the day, the opportunity to serve someone that you care about gave me purpose, and I'm pretty sure it gives you purpose. It's kind of like, you're doing a duty that was meant for you. And so continue to listen to the podcast. Season 7 will be returning January 6th in the new year, January 6th, 2025. Continue to support the Jeff Kirsch Anti-Hunger Fund. Continue to support Positive Philter. Continue to support Pats for Pats. And just live a good life. Be a good person. Stay positive.
Thank you for listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.